Established by Decree 10 of 1993, it's an agency under the Ministry of Information whose focus is supposed to be the orientation and reorientation of Nigerians to issues of nation building. On this week's edition of the program, we'll take a look at National Orientation Agency's Change Campaign. Hello there, welcome to Dateline Abuja. I'm Gloria Umezuki. The National Orientation Agency's role is to develop a Nigerian society that is orderly, responsible and disciplined, where citizens demonstrate core values of honesty, hard work and patriotism. Well, I spoke with the Director General of the agency on this week's edition of the program. But first, what are the stories that made the headlines within the week in the nation's capital?
President Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied by service chiefs, at the top brass of the nation's security and government agencies, laid wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Abuja to mark this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day. The yearly event, which holds at the Remembrance Arcade in honor of members of the armed forces who lost their lives during the world wars, Nigerian civil war and other security operations within and outside the country. The National Assembly has condemned the wanton attacks by suspected herdsmen that led to death of over 73 people in BENUE State. The two chambers considered the matter as they resumed legislative proceedings for the first time this year. The Senate issued a 14-day ultimatum to the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, to investigate and arrest the perpetrators of the attacks, while the House of Representatives plan to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the killings in Benue and other states of the country, a report back in 4 weeks. The National Economic Council has constituted a 10-man working committee to address killings by suspected herdsmen. The committee is headed by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and has the governors of Kaduna, Zamfara, Taraba, Benue, Adamawa, Edo, Plateau, Oyo and Ebonyi as members. The committee will collaborate with the federal government to address impunity regarding killings and violence.
On the farmers and herdsmen crisis, Council constituted a working group to collaborate with the federal government in addressing the issues of impunity regarding the killing and violence. The committee, composed of 9 governors under the chairmanship of the Vice President, will work in accordance with the President's commitment to ensuring that all perpetrators of violence are brought to book. The working group consists of governors of Zamfara, Kaduna, Adamawa, Benue, Taraba, Edo, Plateau, Ebonyi, and Oyo states. The committee has started its meeting right after today's National Economic Council.
Our Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed an application challenging the designation of Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, as a terrorist organization. The acting Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Abdul Kafarati, who delivered the ruling, held that the application was unmeritorious and is accordingly dismissed. However, the group says it will appeal the decision.
Issues of letter written by transmitted by the President, which is required to be signed by the President himself, was not discussed before this court. So the court apparently abandoned the major issues of concern. It should be resolved and formulated the issue that will enable the court to arrive at the decision just delivered. Apart from the fact that the courts never discussed issues of officials of IPOB, character of IPOB, these are largely people who are exercising the right to self-determination as constituted under the Constitution and laws, external laws. And they are not using weapons, they are non-violent, they have no history of violence in any form. Today we are talking about Fulani herdsmen who are killing and slaughtering people all over the places, and they've not been proscribed, they've not been tagged as IPOB member as a terrorist group. Rather, they are being referred by the federal government as a common criminals. So we are going to appeal to challenges. We know when we get to appeal, we can resolve all these things.
The Independent National Electoral Commission is seeking the assistance of the judiciary to reduce cases of conflicting judgments from courts of coordinating jurisdiction during the 2019 general elections. Speaking at a meeting with the Chief Justice of Nigeria in Abuja, the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, describes the situation as not only increasing the operational cost of the commission, but also a threat to national democracy if left unchecked.
It has become imperative to draw your Lordship's attention to one of our major areas of concern, especially as we approach the 2019 general elections, for which we have already released the timetable and schedule of activities. The Commission is worried by the spread of conflicting judgments by courts of coordinate jurisdiction on the same subject matter, particularly on pre-election, post-election, and leadership crises in political parties. We appeal to His Lordship, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, to intervene and save what was clearly a major threat to the electoral process.
We will continue to give it our best shot. Conflicting judgments are bound to be there. Nobody should deceive you. Why? Because it is not one man who is deciding every matter. You sue in Abuja, somebody sues in Lagos, another one sues everywhere. The facts are not likely to be the same. The Abuja man will decide, Sokoto will decide. But you see the beauty of the whole system, which you should be reminded of, is that the system has a way of correcting itself.
The fuel station in Abuja, the nation's capital, is getting worse, as hundreds of motorists continue to spend long hours at petrol stations across the city. When our crew went round the city, most stations were shut, and those dispensing were crowded as motorists struggled to get petrol.
Actually, I don't know the cause of this, but for since December, this fuel scarcity started. I've been here since morning, since around 9 o'clock, queuing from the other side to here for me to get fuel. So we find it difficult.
It's terrible and very bad, this situation that the people are suffering to get fuel. I've been here since around 10 and almost 4. Well, luckily, I'll be getting fuel by now and be going. And it's terrible, the situation. The government should do something about it.